Hey Sam, thanks. Do you mind if I share my screen? Um,
We'll give you that ability soon, if we can. But if you do want to start by introducing yourselves, that'd be great.
okay. So, hi everybody. I'm Jordan Latch. I'm a senior majoring in biology, and Gabby and I are here just to talk about a proposal for our sustainability class that we think is a great idea.
Yep. And I'm Gabby Deshanes. I'm also a senior and I'm an architecture major.
Okay. Let me share. Okay. Hang on. Why isn't it? Why can't I get this taskbar to the bottom? Oh, there we go. All right. All right. Everybody see that?
Yeah, it looks like you're good to go.
All right. So we just want to, our main goal is to try and get a sustainability committee within Student Senate, because we believe that if we do this, we can make more sustainable changes on campus. So, next slide. All right.
Yeah, so I guess we wanted to start off by just talking about sustainability in general. And I thought it might be interesting and important to pull up the specific definition of what sustainability is. A lot of people don't really know how to define sustainability. A lot of people think of saving the planet, they think of fighting climate change and global warming, they think of like protecting the earth. But when we look at the Oxford English Dictionary's definition of sustainability, we can see that there's actually a lot more to the meaning. So, I mean, the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. I mean, that's kind of the one that most people think of when they think of sustainability. But the number one thing that pops up is actually the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. And this is something that I think a lot of people forget about when they think about sustainability. And it's actually pretty important because, I mean, for example, if you recycle one thing on one day, but you don't do it and you don't like maintain it, you're not really like doing much, I guess. So I just wanted to like give the basic definitions so that we're all on the same page.
Sorry about that. Am I good, Gabby?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So global warming and climate change, why should we care? I feel like there are a lot of obvious ones, but I just wanted to point them out because we all need clean water. The percentage of clean water that we have left available to drink is like very small, like less than 0.1% of all the water in the world. So if we don't make more sustainable changes, then that is just going to keep going down, and water is just going to become scarcer and scarcer. Because we all deserve to breathe clean air. Obviously, in Beijing, this is a picture on the bottom of Beijing and how bad the smog can be. And I know like the United States as a whole doesn't really like the idea of wearing masks, but they have to wear masks pretty much all the time because of how bad the air is. So if we don't do something big, then we might have to do that in the future. And because we're all affected no matter where you live in the world, like yes, Beijing, China is like pretty bad with smog, but we are feeling the health effects of bad air all around the world, and it's not just in certain places. And obviously, because we want to protect future generations, we obviously want to leave something good for our kids and then their kids to have a good and clean world. And then because animals, coral reefs, and rainforests aren't just important to biodiversity, but they're also amazing living things. Like, for example, the polar bear in the bottom left. Everybody likes polar bears, but because of climate change, global warming, all of the ice is melting and they're running out of a place to live. So they might become extinct if we don't do something big right now. And then here are just some general facts about global warming and climate change. So humans have wiped out over 60% of our planet's habitat for animals. And then humans, which only represent 0.1% of life on Earth, have destroyed the homes of 6 out of 10 animals across the globe, and with them, the species themselves. And then 70% of the air we breathe actually comes from the ocean. So the ocean is very important to our survival. And a picture in the bottom left is actually what they call trash islands. The trash is just filling up our ocean so much that it actually looks like an island. I think that's a picture from Central America. And then some ways we can prevent this is to conserve the amount of water we use, reduce the amount of waste and materials, and try and use more sustainable materials as well.
Yeah, so Jordan and I are currently taking Sustainability 401. And we were introduced to something called the STARS program. So STARS, it's a program that provides like a framework for how colleges and universities analyze their sustainable efforts on campus. So the program is intended to promote universities to establish long-term so like this includes everything from, say, operations, which would deal with things like renewable energy and waste management, to academics, so like establishing more sustainable classes, to campus engagement, to local engagement, et cetera, et cetera. And this system works by a point system. So every sustainable component that gets established on campus earns a certain amount of points. And when universities reach higher numbers, they can be awarded levels such as bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Another really cool thing about STARS is that it allows for universities to connect and use each other as resources and examples for how to run things on their own campuses. So for example, George Mason University has a rank of gold, so it would be a good idea for Roger to use them and look at their scores for a basis on how we can change our campus to better help the environment and be more sustainable.
All right, so Gabby, can you take this over because I can't see the comments right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. So,
Sorry.
yeah, you're good. So our proposal is to establish a standing sustainability committee that is a part of Student Senate. And we know that generally speaking, things with sustainability have been getting better with advocacy, but getting worse with production. I mean, like due to COVID, you know, we have had to take extra precautions, which has led to an incredible amount of waste buildup on campus. And what's worse is that students don't really know what to do with this waste. I mean, I am a member of the eco-representative team, and one of our jobs is to walk around campus. We look into dumpsters and assess the clarity that students have between recycling and trash. And what we found is that people don't seem to really know what can be recycled and what can't be recycled. And then there are some students that just don't care. Not only is this really bad for the planet, but this is also extremely expensive for the university to manage. So with all this being said, we propose that the Student Senate establish a standing sustainability committee. While taking action in smaller groups is a great first step, we feel as though the only way to ensure that the university continues to put this at the forefront is to have an established committee be dedicated to doing just that. Sustainability is, after all, something that should be able to be maintained at a certain rate or level. So now, I mean, we do have like the eco representatives on campus, and we do have a sustainability club, but Student Senate has a voice, and Student Senate has way more power than these smaller organizations and clubs on campus, which means that there's a greater opportunity to establish change. Another thing on the STARS program, almost all high-scoring universities have an established standing sustainability committee that's a part of their student senate. So the reasoning for this is that their student senate takes action with this standing sustainability committee to establish a set of rules and regulations that other organizations have to follow regarding sustainability. And these rules range from asking organizations to say not hand out plastic polar water bottles at events, or getting in touch with more sustainable vendors, or asking organizations to like take time to really teach their members about sustainability and like how it affects them. Because I mean, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what organization, what team you're a part of, everyone has a part to play with sustainable efforts, because I mean, like, climate change and global warming will affect everyone. And it really can't be put on like the back burner compared to finances and compared to other activities or events. These are certainly obviously very important, but sustainability should really be in line with them. I know like there's usually a really big myth with sustainability that goes around that says that it's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's just not like a big priority right now. But I mean, honestly, like, I think it really just depends on like what you're willing to do. I mean, like, we could establish a committee that focuses on just getting organizations to engage in like things on campus, or say like even engage in like town-wide beach cleanups that give back to the community. That's not like really that expensive or time consuming. And I mean, obviously with COVID, we can't really afford to do something really insane, like say like ask the university to like get solar panels, because I mean, we are in a pandemic, and finances are important. But maybe future generations will have that opportunity. So, it's like kind of part of our job to establish like a foundation for them to do so. So, I mean, I feel like that's kind of basically where this proposal is coming from, and that's kind of how we feel on the subject. Um, I don't know, Jordan, you want to add anything to that, or?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize like how I feel like a lot of people always have the mindset of like, oh, well, we'll figure it out like later, or like we can't really focus on that right now. But if we don't do that, then like there are scientists that are saying that if we don't act within like the next 5 years and like making major changes, then like we're not going to be able to reverse the damage that we've done to the planet. So if everybody does like their small part, like for this example, then we can actually have a chance in reversing some of the damages. So that's pretty much what we got for you guys. So I'm gonna stop the share. Yeah.
Well, thank you to you both for coming to Senate to share your proposal. Does anyone have any questions in terms of Jordan and Gabby's presentation? I'll go Chris Langlois, and then we'll follow down that list.
Okay. Hi guys, thank you for coming in. So I have a two-part question. Is your professor Steve Essence?
Yes.
Okay. So I remember I had a class with him 2 years ago when we talked about the STARS program and kind of starting that. We didn't really take off with us. So you talked about kind of organizing beach cleanups with the town and other kind of events like that. Would you guys be working on the STARS program with your class, or is that something you would like us to take on if this were to become a standing committee?
Jordan, you want to take that one, or?
Yeah. So this like having the committee within Student Senate really wouldn't be like related to the class itself. It'd kind of be on Student Senate, where we would just like that committee would take responsibility of stuff like that.
Yeah. So like within our class, we're trying to focus on specific categories with STARS. But the problem is that there are so many categories and so many areas that need to be worked on with Roger that like it can't all be covered. So I mean, I think especially with the other schools that have committees that are established, the Standing Sustainability Committee that's a part of the Student Senate is more like the organizer for the other organizations on campus. Like it has like they like set a list of rules and regulations that they ask other organizations and clubs to follow that are more sustainable. And they work together with other sustainability clubs on campus to really kind of like keep everything organized and like set the university on the right track.
Okay, thank you.
Ainsley, and Tav, if you want to be gone for just a second.
I was wondering, what specifically would you want the sustainability committee to do different than what eco-reps do and sustainability club? Because we already have those two groups on campus, so what would you want them to do that those other two groups are not meeting?
Yeah, so I was with the Sustainability Club and I am an eco rep. So the Sustainability Club, I haven't really heard much from them this year specifically. So I'm not really sure what's going on with them right now. But I know that for eco reps, one of the main, it's different because eco reps is a paying job on campus. And so we like, our main like job is to go around and we communicate with like say like we communicate about like waste at specific like residence halls. Like we have specific duties that we have to follow. So like I guess the big difference would be that like we can't organize or like we can't like talk like convince other organizations or like talk to them about being sustainable within their own organization. So I feel like the biggest difference would be that by creating a standing sustainability committee, the main like focus would be getting other organizations on campus to like think about how sustainability affects them and ask them to really make it a priority, I guess. Yeah.
Adrian.
I have a couple of questions. First, kind of to circle back to the first question about stars. Are you wanting Senate to take on like all the different projects of stars within this proposed sustainability committee? Two, is it outside of the eco-reps job description that they cannot talk to other student groups about sustainability? Three, I know you said that sustainability club, like you haven't heard too much from them, but in between like is there also the chance that the eco reps could, shift the job description of what the eco reps do to also include some of this?
What was the first question again?
For stars, like, are you proposing that the sustainability committee take on the aspects of stars?
No, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, only like parts of it. The whole thing is like a lot.
Yeah,
we're
it's
at
too much.
Yeah, so parts of it to be focused on, like in student life. And then, so eco-reps, yes, we do. One of our like biggest jobs is like education and educating students and like talking to other orgs and stuff. But we don't have, I think the big thing is that we don't have like a lot of power or say. Right now there are only 5 of us, I guess, and so we really like focus on like specifically like our own like personal duties around campus. So just like the whole like advocating thing, there's just like kind of like too much for us specifically to do. in terms of like talking specifically with other orgs about how they can be sustainable and stuff. And then, sorry, what was the third question?
Do you think that the eco reps could expand their job description to include more of these components? But you said that the education advocacy is part of your job, but there's just not enough of you to focus on that component because you're too busy looking at other more personal tasks of your position.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna come in here for my own question. So this semester and hopefully we're moving forward to like student life the student life committee that we currently have is a standing committee, and it has been focused a lot mainly on sustainability efforts. I give credit to Jordan St. Ange, our chair, for taking on those efforts this semester. And just hearing about some of the ideas you both proposed, like for example, like I'm thinking like making clubs and organizations make sure they only buy sustainable products. Like that is something we can do, or at least it's within our power that we could probably explore a little bit more. So my question is, because I like having a standing committee for those who aren't on Senate, it is a pretty like huge change within our operating like everyday operations. So is it possible to still take on these initiatives and still working on sustainability within one of our committees already, or is it like, oh, we need to have a sustainability standing committee, if that makes sense? Like, is it enough for us to already work on these initiatives through the committees that we have already?
Well, like you said it was mostly this year where you guys were focusing a lot on sustainability stuff. So like, I mean, if there was like an own standing committee, then like we could take on all of that, and then you guys could like get back to like all of the like programs and stuff that you guys were doing before. So like you could get like twice the amount of work done with like a separate standing committee. And I know Salve has like an environmental committee within Student Senate as well, where they have like a bunch of stuff that they're focused on right now. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I did. Thank you. Jake.
So thanks, Jordan. You beat me to it. That was going to be one of my questions, was if you had contacted any of our sister schools, of which Salve is one of them. So that's very helpful to know that. So my first question outside of that is really, have you spoken to the Sustainability Club and Eco Reps? And I know that one of you is a member of Eco Reps, and that's great. But I mean, like, I would like to hear a little bit more from the Sustainability Club. And also on top of that, I think something that's really going to bolster your effort is if you actually speak to the student body. And there's multiple ways that you can do this. And I think that we'd be willing to help you with that in the form of, like outreach, flyers, petitions, things like that. Like, have you pursued any avenues to really gauge the thoughts of the student body on this topic?
Well, in terms of the sustainability committee, we haven't reached out to them yet. I think they're like on probation or something. So, but also we didn't know if like we needed approval from you guys before like we needed to reach out to the student body as a whole. But like that's something that we could definitely do.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, the main purpose for us wanting to establish a specific standing sustainability committee that's a part of Student Senate is because like we want to make sure that there is something that is established and constant on campus so that we can ensure future generations are constantly keeping sustainability at the forefront of priorities. I mean, yes, we have other organizations on campus that are doing stuff. They're small things, like they're, like Earth Week is like fun and everything. but it's not enough to really bring about like an impressive amount of change that needs to be like happening right now in terms of sustainability. A lot of other colleges and universities are way ahead of us when it comes to sustainable efforts and stuff. And so Jordan and I really think that having us like committee that's established that focuses just on this is a great way to really like push the university forward in terms of like getting things done.
Thank you. And can I continue my speaking turn?
Go ahead, Jake.
Thank you. That's all really useful information. You know, we really appreciate you guys coming in here today. But in terms of steps that we can, like concrete steps that we can take now, what is the first thing really that you would like to see from us as a Senate? Like, would you like to see us, you know, try and put forth talks to actually like purchase the STARS subscription, or would you rather see us come together and try and see if we can move things around and make a standing committee that at probably the earliest we could implement next year, all entirely theoretical, of course?
Yeah, it would probably be to like just push for a separate standing committee.
Thank you.
Chris next.
Again. So another question I have is, since the STARS program, there is kind of like, it is a big process to go through, and it does make the school very good if you have a good rating on it. But there is just an end date to that, like once that is completed. What would you envision the committee doing once the STARS program has been completed without kind of messing with the eco reps and the sustainability club and what they do?
Well, I think it's safe to say that I feel like there's always something that we can do to improve on like stuff that goes on. Like once the STARS program is completed, there's always going to be ways where you can make something like even more sustainable and like increase the score of the STARS program. Because right now, I think Roger Williams is at what, like a 2, Gabby, around there.
I think so. Yeah.
So there's like a lot of room for improvement, even like after all parts of it is like completed.
Yeah, and it will take a lot of time to complete everything. You know, like I said, there are multiple different portions of the STARS program. So establishing a sustainability standing committee covers one portion of the program that will earn the university like a point or 2. I can't remember the exacts. But that's just within the organization component. You know, then you have like operations, which focuses on renewable energy and things like that. And like I said, that's not really realistic for us to focus on right now, like getting solar energy on campus. But for future generations, if there's a committee that's established, then this kind of sets the foundation for them to be working together as a group, like future generations, to possibly making this a reality on campus.
Thank you.
Just a couple of points of information since I didn't actually read them last time. Point of information, Sustainability Club is not on probation. And then point of information again, the STARS program never ends, it's a yearly evaluation. I just want to read those out loud for people who may not have the chat feature open. We'll move on to Michaela.
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot my question. I was really wrapped up in what we were saying. But basically, can you just talk about a little bit about like why it's so important this be its own standing committee instead of just a little bit more, because I know you guys have touched on it, instead of being like, say, a part of a committee, and why it is needed, even though we have Sustainability Club and Eco Reps. I remember what it is. I don't know why Brian reminded me of that by withdrawing, but like as a student senator, it's really sad for me to hear you say like, oh, like Sustainability Club and Eco Reps don't have a voice. It's really sad for us because that's our job, is to make sure that club has a voice. So I guess, like, is this committee really needed, or is it something that Eco Reps and Sustainability Club can take on? like with more help from the Senate and like more communication between Senate and these two clubs so they feel like they have a voice?
Yeah, I mean, like we could like have members of Eco Reps and members of Sustainability Club like sit in. That'd be a really good way to get everybody on the same page. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like Eco Reps, we're 5 people, and we've been trying to manage really waste. Like that's like one of the big things we've been trying to figure out is recycling versus trash. And that's all that we've been able to focus on. And there are so many other things that need to be focused on. And yeah, we've been trying to reach out to the Sustainability Club. I haven't really heard much about the club. I don't know if anybody like knows much about the club and what they're doing right now. But it's really important for like the big difference is establishing something that will go away. Like the fact that Sustainability Club was once active and is now just like completely gone, like well, not completely gone, but we don't really know what's going on with them because they haven't been active. I think that kind of speaks volumes for how or why creating this standing committee is so important, because this is something that won't like just like go away out of the blue because something happens. This is something that will be here for years to come, which I think is really important. That basically sums up the first definition of sustainability, is something that is long lasting and keeps going on. Yeah, Jordan, do you want to add on or?
Well, just like an example. So you guys were focused on waste, but like there's sometimes where I leave Maple and like the trash and recycling are overflowing like with trash, and like the recyclable containers that Commons is giving away, you always see those like in the trash. So like that's a good example of how like even though we have like the Sustainability Club and Eco Reps, there's always more that like needs to be done in order to like make it better. So yeah.
Havoc, you want to direct?
I guess to reply to Gabriella, if that's okay. So I've been in touch with the Sustainability Club. I'm their representative. I know they had a beach cleanup with the Eco Reps yesterday. I heard that it went really well, actually. I know that they have a meeting coming up this Thursday at 7 p.m. So if you're interested, you could also hop on in there and discuss with them. I know that they were a little bit out of the loop last semester, but a lot of clubs were out of the loop. But so I just wanted to like give that little kind of information that they do have a meeting coming. If you'd like to also speak with them, then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Allie.
Hi. So thank you both so much for coming in and speaking with us today about this. This is a very obviously important topic. I just I know it was literally just asked, but is there, so like it's been mentioned, adding a standing committee to Student Senate, like that's obviously a very huge change to how we operate. You basically touched on it. So how would you feel if it was an ad hoc committee, which is essentially a committee that's put into fruition until it meets a certain purpose or a certain end point? Like, how would that? Just
So,
that idea.
so is that basically like a subcommittee? Like, is that how it works?
It's basically a committee that's started and it ends when it meets its purpose or when its purpose is complete.
So to add more context to that, it would have to be like, it's essentially it can work as a subcommittee as well. Like it can basically just be reapproved every year. It will work depending on how it's structured, because the Senate decides how an ad hoc committee is structured. It could like go at the direction of a student life committee, or it could just be its own thing in terms of Senate, but it wouldn't be a standing committee. It wouldn't be a permanent thing in our bylaws. An ad hoc committee is more so we can do that ourselves. A standing committee would require us changing our bylaws and constitution and kind of really changing the operating ways of Senate compared to an ad hoc committee, which is a much more, I guess, not easier way, but it's a different way of tackling on this issue.
Yeah, so I think Jordan and I really just think that this problem is something that requires change. And you know, we know that it will require you guys to like really like sit down and change the way that you do things, which is a lot. It's a lot to ask. And we know that, and we're really grateful that you guys are letting us come here and talk to you guys about this. But this is a problem that's not going to go away. Like, sustainability will always be really important, and we really do believe that it should be put up like on the same level as finances, on the same. I'm not really sure what committees or standing committees you have, but we do believe that this is something that is of like that importance. And we really want to make sure that it's not just kind of a second thought. You know, we want this to be at the forefront of everybody's thoughts, because that's the only way that really big change is going to be brought about to the university. You know, like it's a lot to ask somebody to change the way that you've always done things, you know, but this is for like the greater good of the university and for our community. And so that's why we're really pushing for this like establishment of the committee.
Correct from Adrian?
Just for more clarification, even though we may create a ad hoc committee, there is nothing to say that an ad hoc committee can eventually turn into a standing committee, because during the ad hoc committee process is where a lot of the processes and procedures will get established before, and it could really show, like in the frequency of like what is being done, will actually prove that it is worth the standing committee. So honestly, before a standing committee would really be considered, it's going to start an ad hoc committee.
Okay, that was actually going to be my next question, so thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Adam.
So I have a few questions, but I'll start with, what work have you done with different administrators or departments on campus that might tie into different initiatives?
What was that? Sorry, that was hard to hear.
What work have you done with other departments or administrators on campus that would add in your efforts?
As in like us specifically, or?
As in discussed with the STARS program or eco reps, working with different departments or administrators. Can you just kind of add some insight on that?
So, I mean, for us, this was kind of like the first step. I mean, we really wanted to focus on like really, I guess, like establishing the committee so that like, I don't know, like there's like permanence and stuff. We haven't really like looked into other departments yet, I think.
And then the kind of more information point of information, does the university still have a sustainability committee as a university committee?
Point of inquiry, you mean?
Yes.
I believe I see heads nodding, so yes.
Yeah.
So one recommendation might be to reach out and see what they could do if you could have representation from eco reps and maybe someone from the course on that committee. And then even looking to see if each department or division might have a representative there, so that you can pass ideas on to the dining department or academics or academic affairs, so that there's people constantly working on it within the departments.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Does that conclude your speaking for Adam?
Yes.
Jordan Singanj.
All right, so I commend you both for coming because obviously I am the chair of the committee of student life. Jordan, you sat on my committee before. Gabriella, thank you again, both of you guys, for coming. I appreciate it. So actually I've got a list of things. Okay, so first of all, kind of a background, I guess, off of another point a different senator said. Maybe this doesn't have to be. This is like an option. I mean, ad hoc committee. I enjoyed that idea. Honestly, maybe another option would just be changing our bylaws to say, like to incorporate it more in every single committee. So if someone came to finance asking for money for an event, some of the questions we might have to, ask before finance does approve them is, what kind of things you're going to be doing in this event, is what you're buying sustainable, like before they even give the club any kind of money or funding in order to go on with that, those efforts, that's like a check off the box sort of thing. The same thing for clubs and orgs. Like when they check in with clubs, like, making sure that they're making efforts towards becoming more sustainable. Again, I'm not the finance or clubs and orgs chair, but I think that could be a section that could be added, to our bylaws and something like that. My second point is, what I can help, and I meant by that, I can help. Like I'm saying, I know Jordan's been to my committee, and I'd love if you would come as well. We're doing a lot of great things in there that we do need help with. I know I did reach out to the Eco Reps, whether or not you got the email or not, about the Fill It Forward campaign. Perfect. Okay, perfect. So that's something we're working on. But I would love to, like another senator said, it makes us really sad to know that, some other clubs on campus feel like they don't have a voice. I'd love to help you be that voice as well, so you can actually, start making a difference. And yeah, I mean, if for the time being, it's not going to be tomorrow when we have an ad hoc committee. It's not going to be next week if we have a standing committee. In the time being, if you'd love to, work on sustainability, feel free to come to Student Life. We are doing some great things there. But yeah, I think my main point is I definitely would not want to step on the toes of the Eco-Reps and Sustainability Club, just because I feel like if we did have a committee, which is great, I guess my point is I don't want to see Sustainability Club and Eco-Reps gone if Student Senate's doing all the work. It's kind of like my point.
Yeah, and sorry.
Oh, you're good. So totally feel free to respond. I think that's all I had to add. And maybe that's just having those people on the committee as well. But I definitely think the ad hoc committee is a great idea. But I think maybe a change to our bylaws would help as well. But yeah, that's basically my points.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't want to see like Sustainability Club and Eco Reps like go either. I don't think that adding a standing sustainability committee would make them go away, because I think that they can be focused on different things. I think the more groups and organizations and established committees that we have on campus that are focusing on sustainability will allow for more things to get done and allow for more organization. And I think that it will allow for like more sustainable things to be done like everywhere, instead of just having like one club that, because I mean like clubs and like I know Sustainability Club has focused on like fun things in the past, and Eco Reps is focused a lot on education and, like working with like the waste and stuff and everything. But like I was saying, there's really like a lot of different components to sustainability. And so I think when Jordan and I were thinking about establishing the the standing committee, it was so that this committee could be focused on organizing all of the other like orgs and clubs on campus, so that like setting like rules and regulations for them to follow, so that like they are kind of using you guys as like kind of the basis for how they should be running their like club and organization. So I don't think that that they would be like overpowering or like stomping on the other stomping's kind of aggressive, but like, you know what I'm saying, like on the other groups. If anything, that I think that it would just be better for the university.
So how would we like move forward with like an ad hoc committee? Like how would that work?
Yeah, can I continue my speaking turn real quick?
Go ahead.
So yeah, just to the point of what Gabriella was saying, since your main goal with the committee is definitely to, you know, add those regulations to clubs and orgs, Senate does sponsor all of those clubs and organizations. So I think like a great, like I said before, just adding something to our bylaws, like holding the clubs and orgs accountable before they move forward as a club. And then, you know, right now holding our clubs and our orgs that we already have established accountable, withholding maybe like funding for a event before, you know, before we're satisfied with the amount of with how sustainable an event is. But yeah, that's just a food for thought. If, you know, the ad hoc committee isn't that's more for the Senate ad hoc committee bylaws, stuff like that we can consider based on this conversation. But yeah, all right, my speaking turn.
And to direct to Jordan Latch's question, so at the end of the day, like whatever happens is up to the senators within Senate to decide whether they would want to move forward with this. So if any couple senators were to sponsor a bill to establish an ad hoc committee on sustainability, that's like anyone's willing to do so. Usually, like with this type of stuff, like there would probably be an open debate topic as well, just to see where the feeling of the student senate is in terms of doing so. Because usually an open debate topic kind of helps understand where the Senate's mind's at is first before you move on to legislation. But then after that, depending on what the bill says, it could say it's established now. It could say it's established next year for the next Senate to take on. It can be established whenever they think is right or whenever the Senate thinks is right. So if y'all want to be really involved in that process, I would drop your emails in the chat so that way in case someone who really is passionate on working on this would reach out to you and let you know like, hey, this is what I'm doing. So that would be the next couple of steps. There would be first off probably an open debate topic, and then after would be possibly legislation. And none of this is a guarantee either. Is all up to the senators within the room. I don't have the power to do any of this because I'm not a senator. So I cannot guarantee or say what can happen, but that's up to the people within the room. So we'll move on to Ainsley. And you can see Jordan and Gabby left their emails for the rest of the Senate if you want to kind of pick those up. If you feel like you're very passionate about this right now, I'd contact them after the meeting. But they threw their emails in there just so you can all see. But Ainsley, go ahead.
I have 2 points to hit on. So the first one is a question. So what specifically would you want? Like, what's an example that you'd hope that the committee would be able to do? I know you've mentioned trying to like get orgs and clubs to be more sustainable, but like what specifically would you want to see that happen? Do you want them to work on initiatives to get the campus as a whole to be more sustainable? Because I feel like if we do create a committee or an ad hoc committee, it needs to be specific as to what the purpose is of the club. So I just really want like a kind of like, yeah, a definitive purpose.
I mean, so like a good example would be like types of like materials that like people use to like host events, like plastic cups. Obviously, that's a waste of plastic. Is there some way that you can use like more sustainable materials or something like that?
Did I do a straw poll really quick?
That would require a motion. So I'm gonna say no.
I was told I could, if
Oh,
that's possible.
I don't know. Jordan and Gabby are done with their speaking turn, and then maybe we can do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can I finish mine?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I was also wondering, would you be interested in the idea of a council? So we have a parking council here on Senate, and I prefer the idea of a council personally because the person chosen to run the council, it's more they have to like be approved by the entirety of Senate, so it'd be someone who's way more passionate about sustainability efforts than like an average person. And then anyone from the campus community could be on the council, but they would have to apply to be on the council. So like again, it'd be people who were passionate about it and not just like a group of senators. It would be people who apply, and then this could encompass eco-rep, sustainability club, because they could apply to be on it, and a bunch of other people from the campus community who just want to help out on this. Would that interest you?
Yeah, I think it would. Are they like involved? Like, do they come to like Senate meetings like with you guys? Like, how involved are you guys with like councils?
So may I direct that? Ainsley, is that okay?
Yeah, sorry.
So I'll use parking council as an example. So Chris Langlois is our parking council chair. He is a member of the student senate. He is a general senator. He votes. He's actually a member of our cabinet. So he's very much involved in the daily operations of the student senate and the decisions that we make within even cabinet. So that chairperson who would sit on that council would be very much still involved within the student senate and would be a big voice in that effort, and would sit on our cabinet, so would be in the line of succession. So there is that option as well, because they would still be a very big player in terms of the student senate.
Okay, yeah, I think that'd be something that we would be interested in doing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Michaela, you have a motion to straw poll?
Yes.
What's your question? Or is there a second?
Second.
What's your straw poll question?
Is the student senate in favor of creating a group focused on, I don't want to say like a council in case it was like we did do a standing committee or we did like an ad hoc, so I was just going to go with a group specifically aimed at sustainability.
How does this sound? Because I just paraphrased what you said. In favor of creating a group focused on sustainability? And your answers would be yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna vote to take the straw poll, not the actual question yet. So all those in favor of taking the straw poll? All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so we'll take the straw poll. And just as a reminder for the audience, everyone can vote. So you don't have to be a senator to vote in this straw poll. You can vote, like, so that includes you two, Jordan and Gabby, you can also vote in this. But all those in favor of the student senate creating a group focused on sustainability, all those in favor, say yes. And Kayla, just let me know when you're done.
So we can turn our cameras off? Yeah, you want to turn our cameras off? That would be great, because I just double counted like half of you.
Keep those hands high.
Yeah, okay, if everyone can just turn their cameras on, and then I'm going to tell you when I'm starting, because literally everyone just like shifted.
Oh, I meant Kayla. I'm so sorry, Michaela. I meant Kayla.
Okay, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, don't worry about counting. I'll leave that up to the parliamentarian.
Okay, what was this?
Are you all set, Kayla?
Yeah.
All those opposed? There are no abstentions. And then Kayla, whenever you're ready to share the results.
21 people voted in favor, 0 people voted opposed, and 3 people abstained from voting.
Okay. So let the record show that the Student Senate is in favor of creating a group focused on sustainability. we'll move on to Sophie.
Hi, my question is just if your main goal right now is to reach clubs and organizations and to spread education about things like recycling, then what has been keeping either you two, the Eco Reps, or Sustainability Club from putting out ongoing ad campaigns on campus, on social media, and with all student emails, etc., about those things?
So they have been doing that. And so while that is like one of our like big goals, we also have like, I mean, like I think we have other things that we want to like establish as well that go further than just like spreading awareness and education. We really want to focus on like the action part. I think with establishing a group or the committee.
Yeah, one thing also, like, for example, like RAs, like we get a bunch of flyers that we have to put up, and I know those flyers are approved. So like, for example, I didn't know if they had to be approved by you guys before we put flyers out. Like I didn't know if that was a thing.
So to direct to that, flyers are approved by the Office of Student Programs, Leadership and Orientation.
Oh, okay.
And there's a whole process of doing that where you put in a design request. I don't know if Adrian, I can yield to you if you want to continue my speaking turn.
Sure. Yes, our office approves all flyers, but we've also pushed our clubs to do most of their advertising via social media because most students don't really pay attention to flyers anymore, and more often than not, they're doing things on their phone. So I would probably say that in regards to flyers, we probably only do like maybe 20-25% of the flyers that we used to do because of us really pushing clubs to do stuff via social media. Like, and also, for example, like the elections coming up, it's all going to be social media advertising for and campaigning for elections. So that's another way in which, you know, we're also cutting out that paper waste.
Just to let you two know, if you hear knocking, that means people are in agreement of what is being said. Just in case you hear some knocking, it's not you hearing something from the distance. Brian.
So, I have two things. One, is there a way for them to become like a subcommittee somehow on, like, say, student clubs and work? Because they really want to work with clubs and work, it sounds like. Is there a way they can be like an oversight committee on sustainability for clubs and orgs or something like that?
Well, your personal privilege, can you speak up?
Sorry. So basically what I said was, is there a way for them to become like a subcommittee, possibly like an oversight committee for clubs and organizations, like for sustainability, like they can become another part of clubs and orgs? Am I correct?
Am I direct?
Go ahead.
So before before parking was parking council, it was part of student life. And what student life meetings consisted of was a lot of parking appeals, and then about, a half hour for open debate, and the meeting was over. So I feel as if there was a subcommittee as part of clubs and orgs, it would trump any of the work that was being done in the clubs and orgs committee, just as parking did, and stop maybe some great initiatives are coming out of student life committee in the past, because they had so much work that had to be done. So I think yes, like there can be like things that, not a subcommittee, but there can be like, parts of clubs and orgs that they can work with in order to create more sustainability. I just fear that it would cause so much more work for the chair, that they wouldn't be able to actually do all the work that they have to do.
Chris.
Hey guys, so I do want to advocate for you guys on this one. Okay. So I am familiar with the STARS program and what it takes to get a rating. And for any subcommittee to do that, it would be almost impossible. It would take the entire meeting and probably take an entire year. Even with a council or an ad hoc committee, it would probably take a good semester to get even just one of those accomplished, because it ranges from measuring the water usage of each building to the amount of electricity used to each building, and then working to actually like lower that. But one thing that if we do take this on, and I actually would advocate for creating a council for this, is that this would open the university up to a number of grants for research and other things. So I would say reach out to Professor Cody Sharp. She has done a lot of work with sustainability in the Bay, and she was just in the news for her work with coral and preservation of that. But overall, I do think this would be a great idea in a council setting. It would allow you guys to kind of get everything done, but it might just take you guys narrowing down the scope of what you want this committee to accomplish, from doing beach cleanups and all of that to more focusing on the STARS program itself, so you don't take away from eco reps or the sustainability club. But I really, really do appreciate you guys coming in to advocate for this.
Adrian, I have you on here.
The other point I was going to say is, in regards to like club purchases, like yes, when it comes to finance committee and clubs requesting funding for different things, yes, the finance committee can look at those things and making sure that they are more sustainable. But it is student programs leadership and orientation that handles all the purchases for clubs, and so like that's another area who like y'all can talk to in regards to making sure that the items being purchased are sustainable, and that the clubs are also like putting in the appropriate requests to do so. So I mean, as y'all look at this, but still you do need to include student programs, leadership, and orientation, as they're the ones who are actually doing the action requested by the clubs.
Michaela.
Did you say Kayla or Michaela?
Michaela, sorry.
Withdraw.
I still didn't hear that. That wasn't any clearer.
Michaela,
It was on there,
you,
withdraw.
Michaela.
Yeah.
Get in for me.
Good. It's a withdraw. Sorry. Got
Okay.
lost.
I don't know what's going on. Allie, DFAB.
Hi again. I just wanted to comment on the part about clubs and orgs. I don't think that a sustainability anything, like in regards to helping improve sustainability at campus, belongs in clubs and orgs, because sustainability doesn't just involve clubs and orgs. It involves housing, it involves administrators. So I think that it would much more be suited in a student life realm, although I definitely don't think it should be a subcommittee or anything of that nature. But I do think that there are definitely some initiatives that can be taken on that we are doing now, that we can continue to do, that we can start doing, that can continue to make campus more sustainable now, and then we can move forward with some sort of sustainability group, as Michaela put it, to help in these initiatives, because I definitely agree that sustainability is a long-lasting effort to help make our planet better. And we, as a campus, that's one of our values, and I think we need to start paying attention to that. So, yeah, that's my point.
Adam.
So I think the idea of STARS is very noble, and I think, as a previous senator pointed out, there are a lot of benefits. I think this effort, STARS program specifically, is better suited for a university-wide committee that has stakeholders from student senate, from different departments, from student groups, from administrators. And previously, I worked with the All-In Committee for voter registration. And instead of having that housed in student senate, we had it out of the Center for learning and community engagement. And we had representation from student groups, campus leaders from a variety of departments, from housing to student programs to marketing. And that really allowed us to reach a broad array of groups and not focus it on one effort, but also make sure that there were opportunities for those on the committee to reach out to their coworkers and really elevate it from just something that would be done in the background to something that had the ability to go to the office of the provost. So I think that that might be a very good idea to make sure that the program is actually implemented, specifically for the STARS program, kind of separately from the talk of the Sustainability Council or group on site.
Tadek, unless, okay, yeah, Tadek.
I'd like to echo the sentiments of the senator prior. I think those councils are a lot more effective than like us as senators sitting around and talking about another effort alongside the other things that we're working on. Especially given that there is a university committee on sustainability, I think it would be efficient to kind of utilize what we already have versus creating something new. So by utilizing them, a senator would sit on it so the voice would be heard and would be brought back to Senate and other clubs and like our committees and everything. And then you'd have an administrative assistant, all the components, they all sit on the same committee and they all discuss and make action. So I definitely think utilizing what we already have would be a great start. And if it's not being cooperative, then of course Senate would be more than willing to kind of do something about it as well, in my opinion.
I have inquiry.
I was wondering, does anyone know if the University Committee for Sustainability has looked into STARS, if they're thinking about doing it, why they haven't done it? Anyone know that? No?
I can speak to it if you want.
Go ahead, Blair.
So I actually just reached out to Brian Williams. He's the chief of staff for the president. Sorry, I'm like brain dead today. And if I remember correctly, STARS was on the table at the early stages of strategic planning last year. And unfortunately, a lot of it got derailed because of COVID. But strategic planning is starting up again. So I did reach out to him and ask if it's something that's still on the table. So when I hear back, I will definitely let you guys know. But I do know it was a topic of discussion last spring.
Thank you so much, Blair.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments for our student speakers? If not, Jordan, Gabby, if you have any last words to say, I'll give you the floor once again.
I don't really have anything left to say. Thank you guys for letting us come here and propose this to you guys. There's a lot of really good talk, and I know we're definitely really happy that you guys are all on board with creating some type of group so that we can really like focus on sustainability more as a university. So
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you as well. So I know you guys know how like important sustainability is, and that there's definitely stuff that we can do to help.
And thank you to you both for coming in. As you can see in the chat, I think this is a very big part of what we do in terms of the Student Senate, is inviting student voices to come speak on topics that they're passionate about. And I think this goes more than a long way than you may think now, but I think a lot of senators in the group have been introduced or reintroduced to this topic and are maybe more than willing to reach out to you and work with you. And if you don't hear anything, you can always check our Hawklink page on the roster, and you can always bug our senators that way by emailing them or stopping by our virtual office hours as well, or our physical office hours as well in the Senate office and the Rec Center. But thank you so much for utilizing us as this way to kind of bring this sustainability issue to attention, and we really appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You have a great night.
All right, thank you too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. we will move on to going to veto. Any other motions?
Motion to open debate. Second.
All those in favor of opening open debate? All those opposed? Abstentions? Open debate is now open. Tadevik.
Given that we were just an issue was brought by students, I think that we should discuss it. So I'd like to propose the question of how does Student Senate feel about opening some sort of committee, whether within committee, whether outside of Student Senate, regarding sustainability efforts. Where'd that properly get up there?
Would you want to elaborate more?
Well, we had two students just come and kind of discuss for about an hour or so about how it means something to them. And it seemed like at least 22 students in general were in favor of having some sort of discussion on it since we were all very interested. So it only makes sense to kind of discuss it further and see where all the students, us centers, where we stand, how much work we're willing to take on ourselves versus putting this topic aside and then revisiting it at a later time. So since while we're here, all the information's fresh in our heads, it just makes sense to kind of discuss this, see where we stand and how to reach out to Jordan and Gabrielle and tell them what we're planning on doing next.
Point of information, it was 21, not 22.
Thank you.
So we'll vote on taking up that open debate topic. All those in favor of this open debate topic and taking in this open debate topic. All those opposed? Abstentions? This open debate topic is now open. Tavik, would you like to start or would you like to yield to the rest of the speakers list?
I'll yield to the rest of the speakers list and then I'll throw in my opinion.
Perfect. Adam.
I think
there was a point of inquiry from Ainsley, sorry.
So that one was from me.
Sorry.
So I guess if the university committee was it that was going to take this on, would that then kind of negate what we would be wanting to do with this committee, as they wanted us to work on the STARS program?
Point of information.
Point of personal privilege. Can you both speak up?
Let me rephrase that one. So since it was clarified that a university planning committee had already talked about doing the STARS program, would that kind of take that away from what we would have done in the council? So then we try to bring that from the university level, the committee level, down to us, or yeah.
Adrian, would you like to direct?
Yes, the STARS component is part of the university piece, but I think there are more closer student components that we can have more direct oversight over, which is where I would envision this group entity that y'all are discussing would oversee or have more direct oversight, direction, whatever words I'm trying to use.
Thank you.
Adam, now you may go.
Kind of looking at the previous point of inquiry, I think it's important to really understand where the university's strategic direction is and how students can assist in that before we formally decide one way or another. That way we're not working, that we can work collaboratively with the strategic planning committee and also spend more time getting insight as to how we can better support the sustainability club and eco reps versus just kind of getting our feet right in there. I do think it's important though to have these discussions. So I definitely would be open to the prospect.
Ali DeFabrias.
I think that forming some sort of sustainability council, and I use the word council intentionally, would be a great idea, because having not only senators but students who are seeing sustainability and all that comes with that from different perspectives on campus would be extremely beneficial, because it doesn't just have to be residential students, it can be commuter students or remote students, whatever too. I think that this should start, if students felt strongly enough to come bring it to us and spend over an hour talking to us about it, I definitely think that we should act on this. I think that that I don't really see, there are a lot of things that we can do within our committees, but I think that what these students are trying to set, what they were trying to tell us was that there needs to be more of a hard standing approach on this. And I quite frankly agree with them, and I think that a lot of other senators agree with them. So I think that forming some sort of council that would take effect the next semester, so that way we can start a fresh year, fresh Senate with, a sustainability council and working with the new Senate, with that in mind would be a great idea.
Allie S.
Yeah, I just want to second what the previous senator said in regards to like the courage and just amazing presentation that the group of people presented to us, because it must have taken a lot of just strength to just be like, hey, like this is an issue and we need to fix it. But I also thought it was something to bring to our attention too, that they felt that, I know we had brought up like they felt that they didn't have a voice and things like that, but they also felt like their clubs themselves weren't doing enough not doing enough, because they are doing a lot, but there's a lot of lack of participation in that regard that I think they had touched upon, where there's some people who really want this and there's some people who don't. So I think don't want to put the effort in. So I think a council or something to that regard where there's people who are genuinely interested in pushing this forward is super important. But I also think it's important that we kind of address, or at least kind of think about too, like there's a club for this and we want them to participate. So I think it's important that they had discussed that they didn't see a lot of action within themselves. So I think that we should definitely try and encourage them to, like, especially because they were unaware of flyers and things of how to go about that and like advertise. So I think it's important that we give them advice too, to be like, hey, for the time being, because we can't jump the gun and make a council next week, I think it's important that we give them ways to kind of start making the campus aware, like what another senator had said earlier when they were talking about like getting the campus, the student body involved as well, because then we can pull people from everywhere. So it's not just a Senate thing, it's a campus thing, because that's what they were reiterating, is that like this issue is huge, but it's fixed to a small group of people who want it, where it should be a campus-wide thing where a lot of people want it, for lack of a better term.
Ashley.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what previous senators have said. I do think it is, like what the previous senator was just saying, that it is a campus-wide issue, but I do think that us as Senate, we need to like start taking more action on it. Like I know we've been focusing on it a lot in student life, but that sustainability is not the whole focus of student life. There's other aspects to it. And I think as far as going about like what our next step should be, I think as a Senate, like creating an ad hoc or standing committee could be like something in the far future, but for right now, I think it'd be smart of us to reach out to the university committee focused on sustainability, and then possibly create a council focused on it, so that way we can get students who are not a part of student senate on the council and take part in it.
Mike.
Thank you. I would like to echo what the previous senators have also said, that I really do support this, and I really would love to see a council be made, because we are here to advocate for the students, and I believe that making a committee would focus too much on the Senate instead of the students, while the council would focus more on the students. Though I think it is good to take note as well that we would need to get a bit more information, considering they did not get to speak to faculty, to STARS, or to Eco Reps or Sustainability Club. I do fully support them, and I would be willing to help them out, but I feel like that we also need to get a bit more information before we make any final decisions, though, of course, that should be something that they can get done hopefully easily in the future.
Before we move on to Adrian, I just kind of want to do my own point of parliamentary procedure, just making sure you're not being circular with your points. If you agree, like it's nice that you're all agreeing with the same exact points, but making sure that we do have a time limit now, and making sure that we also hear old business as well. Like if it's a similar point, then withdraw like Zach Domian did. I'll just shout you out there because I assume that's what you were doing. So do more of that unless you have a very different perspective or different point in general. Like even if you agree and you have some different perspective, then do that, but making sure we're not being too circular on this topic. Adrian.
I would just suggest that maybe Senate creates an ad hoc committee to do some more fact finding, especially related to university initiatives, as well as the previous senator mentioned, the different lack of research on all these other components and aspects that can be utilized. But with the ad hoc committee, that's when we do like more of the research and digging. That way you can actually establish what the purpose and scope of what the council will be without overlapping all the other entities that would already exist on campus.
Ryan, you have a motion?
Yep. Motion to limit debate to 10 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor of limiting this debate to 10 minutes? All those opposed? Debate is limited to 10 minutes. I'll give time for Kayla to set up the timer. You're all set? Ainsley and Chris, I don't know which one of you withdrew, but Chris is next on my list.
Okay, so I'll make this one quick and try not to be repetitive. I think Roger Williams, as we have a very special stake in sustainability. We're a waterfront campus, so we have a direct impact on our ecosystem. And also, we want to be the institution for the future. And sustainability is the future, and we don't want to be straggling behind everybody else. So I think this is definitely something we need to jump on now. And I think right now, the council level, that'd be perfect. This isn't going to be a quick thing to get done. This is probably going to be a couple-year type of thing to get all those requirements in to get any kind of rating with stars. And this will also be a great community building for the university because it's going to take each residence hall, each building to limit their energy consumption, water usage, to even get a good rating on that. But I am very much in favor of helping them create this council.
I agree.
I don't know if it'd be Adrian that might be able to answer this. Do you think it'd be more effective to do the council and then ad hoc committee, or do you think it'd be more effective to do ad hoc to see what we could do and then a council if needed? Okay, and then if so, then it's just bringing up a resolution saying ad hoc and then going about it that way. Thank you.
Point of personal privilege, was the head nod for the former or the latter option?
Oh.
The head nod was for creating the ad hoc committee to do the research, and then they would do the resolution to create the council for building a council. And then the second point was for, I said it all together.
Yeah, you did.
Ali DeFabrias. Okay. I'll go next. I know I'm gonna steer a little bit away from the debate topic, so I will do a point of personal privilege instead. But just making sure you all know, like, contact Jordan and Gabby if you're going to keep on, like, if you're going to move forward, if anyone's going to move forward with this, because they seem very, like, well, they want to be involved in this project. So I think it's only fair if any group of people are going to end up working on this. Reach out to Jordan and Gabby. If I can provide my own suggestions, I would maybe, like, I kind of share the timeline a little bit of what our next few meetings are going to be, and we're going to be very busy moving forward. Plus, knowing that elections are coming up, and after elections on April 5th will be like our first meeting, which there will be duplicate Senate, so the point of duplication, where there'll be us transitioning into Senate 48. So it would be interesting to see if this bill for an ad hoc committee comes up, maybe introduce it for Senate 48 instead of Senate 47. So that way you start off fresh, you have time during the summer to plan out exactly what you want to do with the ad hoc committee or council, and then you can move forward from there. Because right now it could be a lot to take on for Senate 47, but it could set up really well for Senate 48. So that's just my perspective. Tyler, I believe you already did your point of inquiry. So Allie.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot my point before, but I remembered it. In regards to the, administrative faculty hire, strategic planning, that one, yeah, that sustainability committee. I think that a good way to, find out where they're at, besides just doing the research, and to make sure that we're sort of following along with them and not bringing up things that they already tried or anything like that, is having a member of the sustainability just sit on that committee. And I think that would pretty much alleviate any of the issues that we see there. And I think we can just have a conversation with them about what they've tried.
Can I direct to that?
Go ahead.
I did talk to the sustainability club president. They are in favor of like sitting in on something like that. That's what you meant.
No, the strategic planning, sustainability committee. A lot of big words. But no, that was it.
Any other speakers for this open debate topic? Are there any motions?
Motion to close this open debate topic.
Second. All those in favor of closing this open debate topic? All those opposed? Abstentions? This open debate topic is now closed. Are there any other topics for open debate?
Motion to close open debate. Second.
All those in favor of closing open debate? All those opposed? Abstentions? Open debate is now closed. Are there any other motions for old business?
Open old business?
Okay.
All those in favor of opening old business? All those opposed? Abstentions? Old business now open. Do we have any bills for old business? Jake.
Lissy, LOL. All right, so introducing SS47-038, a bill allocating funds from the reserve account for new equipment for WQRI.
Would you like to expand on this legislation?
Yep. So so this bill is addressing the needs that WQRI came forth to us with last week. And so these new items will help WQRI function at maximum capacity and ensure that they have a lasting and fully functional operating system for not just this semester, but for years to come. And a lot of their old equipment was approaching the time period where it would become outdated, and it really needed to be re-upped. And this is now the new equipment that is really going to help them take off as an organization. And so yeah, they came to me with all of these requests, and they provided backup documentation. And this will be installed by Roger Williams, and so this includes all of the setup costs and everything. And this will be coming out of our reserve account, which is there for the purpose of purchasing things that will benefit the student body for years to come, that are high cost items such as this, that orgs really wouldn't be able to pay for by themselves without the use of the reserve fund.
Thank you. Before we begin, Ian and Carol, if you ever want to step in, just type in, just ask for a speaking turn. I'm sure one of the senators will be more than gracious to lend you one of their speaking turns. But as of now, you're not allowed to speak unless the senator gives you a speaking turn. We'll start with the point of inquiry from Ainsley.
Was this sent out to student senate in the update, the email?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was.
Okay. Not the updated version.
I'll direct to that. So at the point, unless Jake, you want to direct to it?
Yeah. So what happened was I had sent this out to each of the presidents of each club last week, and so it satisfied the above requirement in the first two. And then at that point I sent it to Adam, and but then after which point I made some minor adjustments, and then it didn't get sent out in this week's email, but it was sent out previously.
Allie, point of inquiry.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Sorry, it might just need a second. How, since it wasn't emailed out and we didn't get a chance to sort of do what we do before Senate, I think that's what's kind of throwing some senators in the room. How pressing is it that these are, funded this week?
Point of personal privilege. Allie, can you just repeat yourself just so we can hear better from those who are virtual?
I basically just asked how pressing is it that this is funded like this tonight?
I can speak to that. Hello, everyone. It's not. Yeah, I wouldn't consider it a pressing matter to be funded, immediately. This was kind of, short notice. So if I understand if you guys need an extra week to look it over, to talk about it, to do what you do, as you said.
I will say this though, as a point of personal privilege. We are on org recess next week, and then next week we're very busy. Who knows if we'll make it to full business? I don't know if people want to stay longer. So just kind of throwing that out there, so that way we can get this done now instead of having QRI wait for, who knows, 2 or more weeks. Just putting that out there. Jake. Oh, sorry, there's friendly amendments from Ainsley.
Yeah, withdrawn.
Ainsley, do you have friendly amendment?
I withdrew that, but now I have a new motion to forego the time limit just so we can give this the proper debate without feeling pressured to finish it in like 20 minutes, which I'm sure we could do, but just so that we all feel secure in that.
Second.
All those in favor for going the Senate meeting time limit? All those in favor, all those opposed? Abstentions? We will forego the Senate meeting time limit. Brian.
So I will just say I'm in favor of this bill because I understand where they're coming from, because I personally have worked on some of these things. Like I've worked on a soundboard, and I understand how fast soundboard can ruin things. So I feel like this is appropriate, and I am in full support of this bill, and I believe that we should pass it in the Senate. Help them better the experience for students listening to the radio.
Tavik?
Yeah, I also am in favor of it, given that these are also long-term kind of fixes. As I believe Adrian mentioned last week, a lot of what WQRI has currently is kind of outdated. The equipment's breaking year by year versus, so why have it break down next year and then do another bill? Why not let's all kind of jump ahead of the problem and fund everything that they need funded. Since it is a long-term goal, it's not like something that will break down again next year. It will last them a lifetime once we spend the $20,000. So.
Allie.
I guess it's more of a point of inquiry. Can we just sort of get a breakdown of like why everything costs what it costs, if that makes any sense? probably didn't. Okay, let me rephrase that. Like, what was the research that went into the soundboard costing that much and all of that?
So I regretfully don't have, extensive knowledge on why, the soundboard is $15,000. I do know that our engineer Steve went through sort of a list of options, and this was what he recommended.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Chris.
Withdrawn.
Any other speakers for the speakers list?
Call this bill the question.
Second.
All those in favor of calling this bill to question?
I'll yield my turn to Adrian if she wants to speak.
Adrian,
I couldn't hear.
Oh, okay.
what is going on in the room? Because I did not hear
For
that.
those who couldn't hear, Brian said motion to call this bill to question. There was a second on the table. Adrian couldn't hear him, so she called point of personal privilege. But
So
now
there's
that
a point
she hears
where-
him, we're Brian called this bill to question.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor, there was a second to that motion to close bill question?
Yes.
Okay, I am going to veto that for now, because I'm hoping someone will give a speaking turn to Ian, so that way he can kind of maybe explain a little bit more, just in general, in case people had any other questions, just anything, if Ian had to say anything. I saw Adam first, so Adam, go ahead.
I yield my speaking turn to Ian. And or Carol.
And if people want to give another one to Carol, they can do that as well. Ian, go ahead.
Thanks, everybody. So first of all, thank you, Jake, for drafting this up and sort of sharing it out. And I want to say I really appreciate, all those in favor of this bill. And I think Jake sort of mentioned it best, how yes, our equipment, is still functional. But I mean, a good majority of the equipment we have in the booth right now is minimum like a decade old. So I think definitely it's a not now, like at max a couple of years later type of deal. So I think if you guys choose to approve this bill and give us the funds for this equipment, it would definitely be beneficial, very beneficial for WQRI in the long run. So I just want to speak my appreciation just for you guys considering it.
Allie, you're yielding your speaking turn to Carol. That's the person I saw first. So Carol, if you have anything to say, go ahead.
Sure, I'm going to give you some knowledge on the soundboard, because I think right now our soundboard is an analog soundboard. If you've ever been in our booth, the soundboard has more inputs and outputs than we currently need. So our new soundboard, which will be digital, will have 12 different inputs and outputs, which is what the station actually needs. Most stations are going from digital to analog. It's kind of moving along with technology. I am letting you all know that I am not an expert on all of this, but as part of the WQRI budget, Steve Kennard is our professional engineer who comes weekly. He works at iHeartRadio and has worked at various other radio stations during his career. He comes in, he does our logs, he's contracted with us. So that's why the soundboard is also probably one of the higher price items that you would have in a station. I also want to make sure that you all know that a soundboard is not something I'm going to go to like a store and pick up. It has to be also calibrated for the station with what's necessary for the FCC. Our phone system is very different than your phone system in your office. We have 6 lines. Again, they go into the board. They go in through the soundboard. our new phone system. If we're going to replace a soundboard, we're going to replace all the equipment that connects in and out. So we're looking to get a digital phone. As some of you realize, we take callers on certain shows. It's helpful to have a phone in the booth. Our phone doesn't ring, it lights up when things happen. So it's not a phone that is like again, I can pick up and grab a phone. Mic arms are pretty simple. They hold the microphones, and a mic processor is part of the processing system that will help our DJs sound that much better. Again, realizing that this is a lot of equipment, but we also want to buy equipment that's new. So again, as a senator previously stated, we're not purchasing equipment over and over again. And with these purchases, everything that is connected with WQRI in regards to equipment will be replaced and will be ready to move on, through the next decade. I do want to correct that someone did say that facilities would be installing this. QRI is going to have our engineer pay to spend extra time. We pay a monthly stipend for X amount of hours. WQRI is going to take on the payment for him to connect everything, should this bill go through, to our current station and our transmitter room. I hope that helped anybody, real quick glimpse of purchases for the station.
Ainsley, point of inquiry.
This is probably a weird question, but do the 4 microphone arms, does that include like 4 new mics as well?
Sorry, can I direct an answer?
Go ahead.
WQRI bought new microphones a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and they're in good enough condition that we're not going to get new mics because they're still in great shape. So, and that's some of the equipment that QRI in the future would purchase should they have the funds and the need.
Thank you.
Ashley, point of inquiry.
Have you done research that the microphones that you currently have will work with the new microphone arms, and are all 4 arms the same ones, or are there like different ones that like cost different amounts?
I can say that. Can I direct an answer?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the formalities of but no, the arms we have, and I have a link to them in case anyone needs it. Will be compatible, I guess, with the mics we have, and no, it will not require any different ones. It'll just be for the same price too.
Jordan, point of inquiry.
Yeah, so I just did the math and everything there adds up to exactly what the amount below is. So my question is there an amount in there that so I guess maybe Carol, if she wants to direct this after, Student Senate, they're not, we're not funding the stipending of the engineer, are we? We're just funding the phones, the soundboard, phone system, microphone, that stuff.
That's correct. Yes, we pay for the engineering labor, I guess, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Any other speakers for this piece of legislation? Or any points of inquiry? Or any other motion?
Motion to call this bill to question.
Second. I'm going to veto. Ainsley, point of inquiry. Well, you withdrew too late, so we're gonna have to start over.
Motion to call this bill to question.
Second.
All those in favor of calling this bill a question? All those opposed? Abstentions? This bill is called to question.
Motion to adopt by unanimous consent.
Second. Is there any dissent? Going once, going twice. Okay, this bill passes. So you'll get your money.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on to this meeting and answering all of our questions. I think it's you too, Carol. Is there any other piece of legislation for old business?
Motion to close old business.
Second.
All those in favor of closing old business? All those opposed? Abstentions? Old business now closed. Are there any other motions for new business?
Motion to open new business.
Second.
All those in favor of opening new business? All those opposed? Abstentions? New business is now open. Are there any other pieces of legislation for new business? Jake?
Introducing SS47 XXX, a bill allocating funds for a new foosball table for the Hawks Nest using the reserve fund.
For regular consideration?
Yes.
Looking forward to hearing that. Any other pieces of legislation for new business?
Motion to close new business.
Second.
Oh, wait, because Ali, you should read this. Go ahead.
Introducing SS47XX. Wait, no, never mind. Withdrawn.
Okay.
Take that back. Business? Pretend I didn't say it.
Second.
All those in favor of closing new business? All those opposed to closing new business? Abstentions? New business is now closed. We'll move on to announcements.